So you can dive into Fax Max. Get that up and running again.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, get a little throw down some shade.
All right, especially with like you were saying earlier with the Stanley Cup Championship ending last night.
Yeah.
How crazy was that? There's a lot. I know there's a lot of heat going on in terms of a lot of players going back and forth, and then of course the Florida Panthers winning again.
Yeah, they're going back to back. My mom's group chat. My mom went to Yale and her group chat of classmates have been buzzing because Bill Zito, who's the GM of the Florida Panthers, went to Yale as well and
No way.
in their graduating class. So it's like
Oh,
they all know of him. Um my mom briefly hanged out with him for a little bit, but it's not like he's
oh
like
yeah.
really good friends with her or anything anymore, right? It's more of like, they're just college buddies who were in the same group in college, but like they were not like close within the same friend group type of thing. But
All
like
right.
tells you the small world.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is crazy in a good way too.
Yeah.
Um, so I know with that too, Brad, speaking of small world, Brad Marchand, right? Originally a Bruin, was always a Bruin, basically.
Yeah.
He's now Stanley Cup champion again, so that was good to see.
Yeah, it's always good to see. Got that trade after that crazy season they had last year and be disappointed. I think they even lost to Florida during that run,
Pretty sure, yeah, that sounds about right.
like in the first round.
Right. So this is the 32nd year in a row the Stanley Cup is staying here in America.
Yeah,
A team up in Canada has yet to bring it back.
exactly. And
So,
tells you all fun stuff. It's like, it's crazy. And that same time of years, same amount of years that like the San Jose Sharks have been a team as an organization, that same amount of
oh
years.
goodness.
And they have zero Stanley Cups.
Oh, really?
And so I think that's like actually a pretty cool, interesting thing is like, oh, Canada has no things on at time. Well, here it is, here it is San Jose Sharks team. They have zero. They had
Uh,
that one opportunity against the Penguins about 7, 8 years ago and didn't show up,
oh, really?
right? Because remember that Stanley Cup final against the Penguins? It was like 2016,
Mhm.
2017.
That's right. I forgot
Sidney
about
Crosby
that.
won his Stanley Cup, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So now Marchand has his Stanley Cup after being there for a while.
Right. He was on the docket for needing one for quite a while too. I think last time the Bruins won was like 2011.
Yeah.
So
That's about
that's
right.
13 years, which is still a good amount of time.
14 years, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Math. Hate math. I've been looking
Yeah.
at so many numbers lately where it's all just blended and not adding up. But
Nice to see it. I know. We got hockey officially over. It's kind of sad, but we got the draft coming up for hockey, so that's gonna be interesting. See how everything lines up.
right.
We'll have the draft for hockey coming up and NBA draft coming up. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it all devolves into I think the Sharks have like the second pick. Um, and I think the first pick was like a bit surprised because I was watching the lottery like a month ago when that happened. I think because I don't know if I like the lottery system with the NBA and NHL, man. It,
Oh, really?
well, like I get it. I get the point of it is to make it fair and balanced and, implement like that. But you can get situations, right, where like the team who was like a fringe playoff team, like literally won the lottery in the NHL and they get the number one pick.
Mm.
Shouldn't the bad team like I'm like it was percentage. It was crazy. It was yeah, and they had like a less than 10% chance to do it. It was crazy. That's ping pong balls for you, right?
Right.
That's what I guess why I'm like I don't care. Like I get it. It's entertaining. It's probably makes the reason why they do it probably is A to prevent tanking and B to make it like somewhat watchable and entertaining. to see, the odds drop and stuff like that. But like, I get the point of tanking, but like there's a point in time where it's like if a team's bad for a couple years and they're just not getting the number one pick, man, and because the ping pong balls don't fall your way, and it's not because you're tanking, it's because you're generally a young team that's learning and you just don't have the pieces yet. Oh, I got penalized because of the ping pong balls didn't go that way at 7:30 at on a random Tuesday night in May.
Right.
So that's, as I say, that's another thing entirely. But it's something that think about. But then when you say it like that, the way I said it, it sounds like it makes it sound kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's definitely wild the way it works, right? And um that's where it definitely makes it, to your point, it definitely makes it very different from like the NFL of the world, or it's definitely unique in its own way.
Exactly. Like it's definitely an interesting thing. It's like the NBA does the ping pong balls, NHL does the ping pong balls, NFL does not. Uh, I honestly, because the ML in the MLB draft is so weird. It's like in season, right? It's like during the regular
Right.
season because the regular season's so long. So it's like I guess they do it by based off the record of the previous year and not that this current year. And that like how they dictate that is also confusing to me because it's like why have your draft in season? Like I get it because of when the college game start ends, right? Because all the college baseball season ends right like in late June, right? Because the College World Series is happening right now. So I get why
Yeah.
it's happening now because the kids are out of school. But at the same time, it's like, dude, we're like in the middle of a season. And I'm like, do you dictate that based off of what happened prior to this current season that they are in? And that's how you dictate the picks. So it's just something entirely which I find interesting because it's the only league that sort of does it that way, has their
Oh,
draft.
right.
And I get it because the league's like the season's so long, which is probably why they do it. But it's like, why don't you just have it in December? Because in December, the only thing that's going on is like, yeah, there's college basketball, there's NHL and NFL playoffs, but like you can just do it because all the season is complete. Everyone's resumes are complete.
Oh, right.
A player's like college baseball resume is not complete during uh their own season,
Mm.
right? So I don't know if it's because of they do it because of they do it right before the college baseball season, which does not make any sense. Like I don't even know the exact month that they do it. I just know it's during the MLB season. So I don't know like the thought process of how they justify like to work around everything. And I don't know if it's because of the high school season, because the high school players, it's the one league where high school players can get drafted as well, along with the NBA. So that it's just very interesting to think about something like that.
All right. And speaking of the MLB, my heart was torn apart not too long ago
Ooh, nice.
because the Red Sox decided on a whim to let my boy Rafael Devers go
I don't
to
get that.
San Francisco. So
It,
if you head out to California, or when you're ready to head out to California, if you run into Rafael Devers, make sure you tell him hi for me.
it sounds good. I'll be in the Sacramento and not San Fran, but if I'm in San Fran area, I'll definitely
All
let him
right.
know I say hi for you.
All right. If you just so happen to find your way in that area.
Like to me that like trade made no sense to me because it's like you're one game above 500, you're 5.5 games back in your division, and you're 8-2 in your last 10 games. Well, they're now 8-2 in their last 10 games. They might have been 7-3 or 6-4 when that happened.
All right.
No, they were probably seven. They lost last night, so they were probably 9-1 or 8-2 still in their last 10 games. So it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, you're one game above 500, which is like a weird area to be in to be a buyer or a seller, but it's like you're still 5.5 games back in the division. You're
Right.
half a game back in the wild card spot. Like I just I need to see what exactly they got for him, but like that like you would think you would be a buyer and not a seller when it pertains to if you're a half a game back in the wild card game or wild card and you're 8-2 in your last 10 games.
All
I mean,
right.
how are you a seller?
And honestly, yeah, I don't think for me there definitely wasn't enough to justify why they let the face of the organization go. Um, I think what they got was just a couple pitchers, didn't have the greatest ERA. Um, I know they're one of them. I think their ERA was right around 4.5 or something like that, and the other one was like a 6.32 or something like that ERA.
Yeah, like the
And
4.5
one
is
of
pretty good, but 6.2, that's a lot. I need to see what their innings pitched were because that's a big factor. But
all
like
right.
4.5, that's good, but 6.2, you're like, okay, like
Right. And then another pitcher they got from them is still in minor league baseball. He hasn't even really seen the pros yet. So I'm like,
yeah,
and then
so it
they,
feels like they were just a seller, and like yeah, that just sounds like a seller move. Like maybe the first two pitchers can do something because he's a 4.5 ERA, and maybe you know I think ERA could be the bet. It's one of those things where I'm torn about the fact that ERA because ERA can get so skewed
mm,
depending on where in the rotation you are and where in the bullpen you are. That's sort of what my opinion because you could have a decent record but have like a 7 or 6.2 ERA and like you get two more outs and next thing you know your ERA is down to 4.5,
all
right? So it's
right.
like it's very interesting to see how that goes.
All right.
I don't know. As I say, it seems like it just seems like a very interesting trade that the Boston Red Sox ended up doing this week. Because I would
Heartbroken.
think that they would be buyers, not sellers, when they were half a game back in the wild card.
And that's the thing. They swept the Yankees.
Yeah,
I
they
think it was
swept.
I think it was
Yeah,
like a 4 game
yeah,
series.
they swept the Yankees, and like they're 5.5 games back in the division. Yankees have lost five straight games, and Yankees are 3-7 in their last 10. And honestly, it's like, what are you trying? I just don't know what's going on with the front office there. I can't tell you if they're going all in or they think they're like, even though they're still in the hunt, they're like, oh, we don't have like the longevity or the pieces to do this thing long term and win it all. So we're just gonna screw ourselves and save it for the future. So I just don't know what's going on in the Red Sox head.
All right, and that's the big thing, right? They were going down a pretty good road, and all of a sudden they took a diagonal right and decided to go down a road that was all overgrown with weeds and mud, and now nobody knows.
Exactly. You know, I it's you're 75 to 74 games in, you're almost at the halfway point in the season. Like you like the A should be A should be sellers, but I'm like looking at the Red Sox and like I just don't understand that. Yeah, you're fourth in your division, but at the same time you're only 5.5 games back.
All right.
And you've been hot recently for the exception of like the loss last night.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's a
just
shame.
well, no, it just boggles the mind because you're like, what is the front office thinking long term? Are they thinking long term? Are they thinking, oh yeah, we're done for the year. We can't make a playoff spot. I'm like, you're right there. You're right there.
All right.
You not care about the wild card, and you're just like, oh, I don't think even with 5.5 games back, we just can't beat the Yankees, even though the Yankees have been in a slump. Like ha- that. I just don't understand the trade. Anyway,
All right, but shame. But I saw the A's have been winning a couple games here and there.
yeah, they've been good. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They're 30-45. Um, they were cold for a while, and now they are playing now about 500 baseball to above 500 baseball ever since. Um, they're 15 games underneath 500, which is not great, but at the same time, we're still only 75 games in. And
All
they,
right,
right, they play the Astros tonight. So like, um, they play Astros tonight, and so they can go from 13 to 12 games back in the division. Because the Astros have been hot, which is things, and Seattle's a team. Honestly, like the whole division is good. That's the problem the A's have. I think the reason why they're 30-45, if you look at their division, the
it's
eight
stacked.
the Houston is 42-31. Houston's 42-31. Seattle's second with 4.5 games back, and they're 37-35. And then Texas is 6 games back, a little game underneath 500, but they are 7-3 in their last 10. Angels 6.5 games back, 2 games underneath 500. Um, and then A's are 30-45. Like they're 5-6 games back underneath fourth place alone. So like there's
All
six
right,
there's 6 games between fourth place and first place in the division, and there's 6.5 games between fifth and fourth place in the division. That tells you something right there.
all
And the
right.
thing about the A's is that I think they're good. I think they're gonna have one of the rookies of the year. They're gonna have one of the AL rookies of the year. I think they got a good solid hitter. They got a good who've been lighting it up. But like they just don't. I don't think that they have the pitching to withstand it. I think the offense is good. I just don't think they have the pitching to withstand it. They got
Mm.
Jacob Wilson. They have Wilson, who's a shortstop, and he's gonna be in. He could be going for AL All-Star voting, for as a rookie, and
Hmm.
which that's the fun part of the team. The pit, the pit, the pitching is just it. The pitching like is not great, and not like it's not good. Like it's not great, but it's not horrendous. It they're the most like confusing team in all of baseball because like they'll either sometimes they'll win 5 straight or they'll lose 10 straight. There's like no in between. And like they could either be the hottest or coldest team in baseball. And they have the offensive firepower to win games like this. They just don't, it's like, of course, 100, of course in a 162 game season, not the bats are not going to show up every night, but you would like to say at least half the night they do,
All right,
because it's one of the things where like they're not always on, but when they're on, it looks
crazy.
they look like a wild card playoff team when the offense is on. And
Heck
when
yeah.
the offense isn't on, they literally look like a a team who's almost 20 games underneath 500, which they are right now, 15 games underneath 500, right? So it's like you see the good sides are really good. The bad sides are really bad, but there's no common denominator between the two. It's either really good or really bad, which is why they were like on a winning streak for the first like early in the year with 8 games in a row of winning streak, and now they are three in their last seven or three in their last 10, whatever it is, and it's like or they're 5-5 in their last 10, but and 13 games back with a 400% winning percentage, and you're like, yeah. So as I say, that sums up the A's. As I say, the most inconsistent team. They can be entertaining, but they are so inconsistent. And if they were just consistent enough, I'm not saying they're a wild card team. I'm just saying that they are at least somewhat in the hunt. And I'm saying somewhat in the hunt as 5.5 games back in the wild card if they were like what they could potentially be every night.
All right.
if they can get a fraction of their best, then they could be at least in the hunt. I'm not saying they're a wild card team, but at least in the hunt. But the issue is that their their bad's really bad.
Mm. Gotta do a little reconciling.
Yeah. What do you think about the AL West? How's the AL West shaping up for you? AL East, I mean.
Yeah, it's going all right. Obviously, the
Yankees
big
lost
thing
five.
every year. Yeah, so that's the big thing on our end. As long as the Yankees keep losing, we gotta find a way to just keep winning. Um, but I was really excited because they finally called up Marcelo Meyer a couple weeks ago, and so I know we drafted him within the last couple years or so, and then played up in Portland, Maine for a little bit for the Double A team, and he went up to Worcester. Played for the Worcester Red Sox for a bit. And then not too long ago, within the last few weeks, the Red Sox called him up to Boston, and he's been doing really good on that front. And so definitely happy on that end. And so yeah, as long as we kind of just get the pitching back in order, get the right offense at the right times, then we should be somewhat okay. Um,
Exactly. And I was watching, as I say, I was watching the Red Sox documentary earlier this month, and I was finishing it up, and I was like, man, how do you not love Jared Duran? How could
all
someone
right,
love Duran? I love everything about Duran,
he is such a stud. Like he's
on and off the field, man.
all right. It's a down to earth guy. Loves what he does on the field. Awesome dude off the field, and obviously he's a big um, advocate for the mental health side of things. So that's good. He's really pushing for all of that. Um, so yeah, no, definitely super lucky to have him. And when he starts running, he's freaking fast too.
Oh yeah, he can
He's like
hit.
Lightning McQueen out there. He just flies.
Exactly. Yeah, and they got they're gonna be an interesting spot. It matters. Hopefully their bullpen can keep up doing what they're doing. Their their starters have been pretty good. I think Crochet's on the mound tonight, which is he's got a good ERA and a good win-loss record, like
Yeah,
Case.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? I think they've definitely got the people. Of course, like you said earlier, minus Rafael Devers now, but I mean, I think they've got the people. Now it's just, I think, putting them in the right spot where it just connects a little bit better. And I think once the Red Sox figure that out, I think they'd actually be really good. But so I think they're close. Now it's just a matter of
They're
getting
close.
over
They're better than
a
their
tiny.
record shows. They're better than their record shows.
Yeah. So now it's just a matter of getting over that tiny hump, and we're right there, right there. So now it's just a matter of doing the thing.
Exactly. And hopefully they can figure it out. Um, yeah, and you know, they're as I say they're intriguing. Whereas they were we're only scratching the surface of the season. We're only almost halfway in through, almost halfway through.
All
And
right.
we're 70 games in, so almost halfway through, or 10 or 15, and we will be halfway through. But like it's it's a long season, but you gotta be liking what they do. And this series that they're gonna have coming up Wednesday, Thursday, uh Friday. They might play Saturday. I don't know if it's a 3 or 4 game series, but that's a fascinating series. They play the Mariners starting tonight,
Mm,
and that's a fascinating series because the Mariners, Red Sox are 38 and 37, Mariners 37 and 35, and the Mariners are, as I say, right, they're 5.5 games back. I mean, 4.5 games back of Houston. So it's like both teams kind of need it because they're both in similar positions. They're both about the same amount of games back in their division. They're both kind of in that hunt of the same record wise. So I think that could be a very interesting season. And as an AL West guy, I love the Seattle. I love the Seattle team has been good for years. They just haven't been good enough because of there's only 2 or 3 wild card spots. and the Astros just dominate that division every year. So it's like
Right.
it, Seattle's like a good team, but they just don't get to that recognition because the Astros win that division every year, and there's only three wild card spots. So it's like they're that
It's
fourth
so
team every
sad.
year. They're that fourth team for the past like 3, 4 years in that wild card race.
It's so upsetting. It's like talk about a big slaps to face, right? Like, hey, we did good, but we just don't get anything out of it. Like,
Exactly, and that's what they've been for years. And it's always felt like little brother, even when Hernandez was there, even when they had like that ace Hernandez on the mound. He was like in Seattle for like, it was 8 years ago when Hernandez was good. Felix
right.
Hernandez, when, Felix Hernandez was good and he was on Seattle.
Yeah.
Like that's when I was like, oh, Seattle has something cooking. And then it's just not there because the Astros have dominated that division for a decade plus now.
All right. The Astros need to stop being decent.
The, the cheaters need to stop cheating or winning.
Right. All right.
Because I
They
don't
need
know
to
if they're still
take
cheating now. They might be still cheating now. But just the fact that they're not like getting under review because everyone assumes that they stopped once the allegations happen.
right. They're just not slowing down. It's like, oh my God, why?
It, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. And as I say, I thought the Yankees were looking fantastic before, and now they lose five in a row, and you're like, what's going on with the Yankees?
All
So
right.
this is like, it's still too early to tell. I have some niche teams where I'm like, they can make a run in it because they have the talent. The problem is that I think the three divisions, especially in the AL, are as close as they've ever been.
Mm,
I think the AL West is the closest it's ever been since Houston started dominating, and AL East has, no one knows whatever happens in the AL East for the past 10 years because of
right.
between Baltimore, Houston, Boston, Toronto, and the Yankees. Like that's
It's one of my
it's
mojumbo.
kind of like, oh, we're all screwed. So yeah, something to think about.
Yeah. So we got about a minute left. This is the minute bell. Is there anything that is pressing on your mind in terms of the athletics world or the sports world, rather?
Um, this College World Series have been entertaining and generally across the
Mm.
board. You know,
There's
my
just no pitcher, a no hitter, rather.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't even talk about it. Right before the tournament because I was like I sort of saw I saw how sort of how the regional happened with Murray State's regional. I was like, oh, that offense looks good. Let me put $10 on them just to win the whole thing. And they rode me all the way up to 5 innings
Mm.
left, man. I put like $8 because I was like, well, because like it's one of the things you just see the bats and you're like they're swinging and you're like, oh, this offense is good. And then I just watched the Arkansas game yesterday. Arkansas just threw the guy threw a no hitter, and Murray State got eliminated because he just threw a no hitter in College World Series history.
All right, that was crazy, crazy, crazy. Like they just that guy just absolutely dominated the whole entire time.
But it was a good ride while it lasted. It took me to
It was.
top six teams when there was like 64 teams left.
All
I
right.
took them.
That's what makes it fun too, like the recognition they're getting now, and now they're going to be a much better program because of it. So